Romantic love, in the eyes of poets and dreamers, is a transcendent force, a meeting of souls, a divine union meant to complete the human experience. But to Arthur Schopenhauer, one of the most brutally honest minds in Western philosophy, this vision was nothing more than a seductive lie spun by nature to enslave men. In his chilling analysis, he rips apart the idealism men have built around women and love, exposing it as a biological scam, cleverly disguised as destiny, but designed purely for reproduction. Imagine a man consumed with love. He writes her poems, imagines a life of bliss, believes she is his salvation. What he does not see is the mechanism behind the curtain, the invisible hand of nature using his emotions, twisting his reason, and dragging him by the heartstrings towards sacrifice. Schopenhauer argued that love is not a path to joy or enlightenment. It is a trap, a mask worn by the sexual instinct. He writes, "Love is nothing but an illusion, and the illusion lies in the instinct's trick of cloaking itself in spiritual sentiments. What appears to be romantic euphoria is simply the will to life, the blind cosmic force of existence, manipulating men into continuing the species. Her beauty, her innocence, her gentleness, these are not divine traits," he believed. They are bait. Schopenhauer, in his infamous essay on women, described the female as nature's vessel, calculated, instinctive, and short-sighted, not because of moral failure, but because that is how nature designed her. He compared men and women to day and night, man as the visionary, driven toward legacy and ideas, woman as the realist, driven toward reproduction and immediate security. Romantic idealism, he claimed, was an illusion men project onto women because they confuse their sexual need with spiritual significance. A man sees beauty and believes he has found meaning, but he has only found a womb that fits his genetic code. The intense feelings of love, jealousy, obsession, sacrifice are nature's way of increasing the chances of reproduction. That's it. Not soulmate logic, not eternal union, just biology dressed in poetry. Men are more easily fooled by this game because, Schopenhauer believed, women are closer to nature. They don't need the illusion. They play the game instinctively, choosing men not based on eternal love, but on who offers strength, power, or promise of resources. She may whisper, "I love you," but her DNA is calculating. Is he strong enough to protect my offspring? Will my child survive with this man's traits? Even when a man thinks he has chosen her, Schopenhauer insists it was the will working through him. It is not the man who chooses the woman, he says, but the species that chooses for the sake of its own perpetuation. This is the tragic brilliance of nature's design. Men believe they are in love, but they are merely foot soldiers in the war of genetics. The man who believes his love is unique and holy is no different than the animal led by scent and instinct. And yet, society praises this madness. Songs, movies, religion, they all tell him to worship her, to fight for her, to die for her. But Schopenhauer's warning is clear. The more you believe in love as salvation, the more you are being used. Love, he argued, is nature's cruel joke, a trick to make the man hand over his strength, wealth, time, and soul for the continuation of a species that will forget his name. This is why men suffer more in love. They are the ones who believe. They write the poetry, take the financial risks, and kill for honor, all in the name of a woman. Yet when the illusion fades, when she no longer desires him, when her eyes drift toward a higher value man, he is left shattered, confused, asking why she no longer loves him. But the answer, according to Schopenhauer, is brutal. She never truly loved him in the way he thought. She simply followed nature's logic, seeking what was best for her offspring. His tears are irrelevant to biology. Her choice is instinctual, not emotional. And so, the man who builds his life on romantic illusion is doomed to suffer. He is a servant of a myth, one that Schopenhauer sought to expose, not out of cruelty, but to free men from their mental slavery. In a world that worships romantic love, Schopenhauer was a heretic. But his philosophy pierces through the fog. Love is not what you think it is. It is not divine. It is not eternal. It is not even yours. It is nature's commandment disguised as your desire. And until a man wakes up to this truth, he will be a willing slave. In the alchemy of lust, you'll be taken deep into the ancient and forgotten discipline of sexual transmutation, a principle once reserved for monks, warriors, kings, and creators. Offering his blood for a fantasy that was never real to begin with. Once you see love through Schopenhauer's eyes, the illusion begins to rot from the inside out. The flowers die. The poetry fades. The sweet nothings once whispered in the dark echo with hollowness. What remains is a man face to face with a force he never understood. The will, the blind, merciless engine behind all life. To Schopenhauer, this will is not divine, not moral, not intelligent. It is hunger, raw, ceaseless, and manipulative. It uses desire as bait, sex as a weapon, and romantic fantasy as a leash. This will does not care for your happiness, your plans, or your peace. Its only aim is continuation. You, the man, are merely a tool, a disposable vehicle through which the will ensures survival. And the most efficient way to motivate you? Women. Not as people, but as carriers of the next generation. That's why Schopenhauer argued, the male mind is so easily hijacked by beauty, softness, and sexuality. You are not falling in love. You are falling under command. When you see her as everything you ever wanted, when you ache for her approval, when you burn with jealousy over her attention, what you are feeling is not love. You are feeling the strings of the will tightening around your soul. And women, in Schopenhauer's framework, they are not wicked. They are simply closer to the will. They obey it without question. Their instincts are sharper, their romantic illusions fewer. They do not need philosophy or spiritual delusion to play the mating game. They are the game. While men seek meaning, women seek survival. And in this biological war, it is often the man who brings his heart to a battlefield where only strategy is rewarded. This is why Schopenhauer saw most male suffering as self-inflicted, not because men are weak, but because they are naive. They believe in love as salvation, not as strategy. They project honor onto instinct and confuse loyalty with biology. And when the woman leaves, when she changes, when she falls for another, men call it betrayal. But to Schopenhauer, it was never betrayal. It was the will adjusting its course to preserve the strongest genetic line. So where does this leave the modern man? Is he cursed to walk alone, distrusting every smile, every embrace? Is the only solution to hate women, to retreat from love, to grow bitter and cold? No, this is where Schopenhauer's darkness becomes strangely liberating. The solution is not hatred. The solution is detachment. The answer is not rage. It is clarity. You cannot change the will, but you can stop being its puppet. The moment you understand that love is not divine, but strategic, that it is a biological spell cast for the survival of your species, you can begin to see. You can feel desire arise and not act on it. You can observe beauty without being enslaved by it. You become the observer, not the prisoner. Schopenhauer offered a hard path, but a noble one. Renunciation. Not the complete denial of women, but the denial of their illusion. When you stop looking for a woman to save you, complete you, or define you, you begin to reclaim your power. The energy you once spent chasing, pleasing, and proving yourself becomes available for higher purposes. Art, discipline, philosophy, creation. You become the master of your instincts, not their slave. You stop asking, "Does she love me?" and begin asking, "Am I living truthfully, with strength and with purpose?" You stop chasing relationships to heal your wounds and instead use solitude to sharpen your vision. This is the path of the undeceived man, the one who sees the biological trap, steps over it, and builds a legacy rooted not in lust, but in clarity. Schopenhauer destroyed the romantic illusion not to make men bitter, but to set them free. He saw love not as salvation, but as seduction, a siren song luring men into chains. And yet, in that destruction, he left behind a rare kind of wisdom, the power of self-mastery, the ability to desire without worshipping, to feel without falling, to walk among temptation and remain sovereign. In a world that feeds men lies about love and forever, his philosophy is a torch in the dark. If you are brave enough to face the truth, that she is not your purpose, that love is not your salvation, and that the will is not your God, then you too can break free. You can transcend the program. You can build a mind that cannot be manipulated and a life that cannot be derailed by beauty. You do not hate women. You simply stop needing them to validate your worth. That is freedom. That is power. And that is the legacy of a man who dares to see clearly. Thus remember, we are Indecepta. Becoming Indecepta is the code they never wanted you to learn. A psychological war map for men, forbidden teachings fused with modern strategy for influence, dominance, and self-mastery. If you want peace, prepare for war. The Indecepta archive is the complete vault. Every lesson, every revelation, every psychological blueprint I've ever recorded, handcrafted to help you break chains, build discipline, and become undefeatable in a world built to deceive men. No ads, no algorithms, no distractions.